Welcome everyone to Total Drama Island All-Stars. Now if you are unaware of what this is, you all voted for these characters to be put in. Now of course it was indirectly because none of you could have known you were voting for it unless you were one of the lucky few I told this to, in which case go wild in the comments. But for those who aren't aware, I've been running polls in 4 character increments asking who would do the best if they had a redo of Island with all their memories intact. Now why didn't I just make this a normal popularity contest, you may be asking? It's because being an all-star is more than just who is popular, it is also about what you can do with that second chance being given. For example, we all could consider Heather to be an all-star, but what can she really do? I mean, she got everything she wanted by winning World Tour. Bringing her in is just a formality, as no character who has won before has won again. So with that being said, let's introduce our teams and make some ground rules clear. For Team 1, or the Golden Redeemers as we're calling them, we have Owen for winning the series as a whole, Noah, Cody, Courtney, Lindsay, and finally Lashana. For Team 2, or the Silver Underdogs, we have Gwen, Eva, Izzy, Harold, Trent, and finally Heather. First off guys, I want to ask why so many Golden Redeemer members are the most incompetent part of the roster, and why the Silver Underdogs are so stacked in comparison. Like, guys, it's almost like you didn't know this was what I was going to do to them. So first things first for rules. This will take place instead of total drama, repeating. Do not question the stability of the timeline, it's a great place and will remain stable. Owen offers to exchange 100,000 for 1 million, but he has to win with a much smaller cast in a 13-episode season. So in a way, this is total drama action, but more boring because it still takes place on the island. And the second and only major rule here. There is an invincibility statue in play. I won't tell you when or where, but it is in play. Gwen, Trent, and Eva all strongly dislike Heather because of what she did to them all on Island, and they are not afraid to show it. I think Heather would break down in front of Harold again, and they would form a 2-person alliance together. On the Golden Redeemers, Noah and Courtney would butt heads, but Owen and Noah and Cody get along well, though Lashana's quick to shut Noah down after he gets out of line. The season will be a redo of all the challenges that every character got eliminated and selected randomly. The first challenge is Dodge Brawl, which was the episode Noah got eliminated in. It's simply dodgeball, and the first team to 3 wins gets immunity. Overall, Noah, Cody, and Lindsay really drag their team down hard here, and despite Noah playing, he's not exactly suited for this type of thing, to which Lashana even comments on when he gets eliminated by Eva. Eva will be the star player on the Silver Underdogs as well, as the unpredictability of Izzy and the mad skills of Harold also playing a big part as well. Now, this is fine for the first 2 rounds, but Courtney isn't going to be idle, as she knows how to win this. She gets her team together to make the new strategy where every player just throws balls at someone at once, and they decide to get Eva out first, which they succeed with. The rest of the round goes smoothly as well, giving them a win over the Silver Underdogs until Eva makes a new plan and she uses Heather as a shield, letting her get hit by several balls before grabbing 3 and hitting Lashana, Cody, and Lindsay. Owen is taken out by Harold, catching his ball once again, if not just by Eva, and Courtney is the last one left, but she is able to use some of her more acrobatic skills to her advantage, and she is able to take out Trent, Izzy, and Eva, leaving Harold as the final one, in which Harold would catch the ball after a similar hard throw that would be comparable to Owen. Courtney back at camp starts shifting the blame onto everyone else, including Cody and Noah, to which Noah says that he didn't exactly help, but at least he isn't blaming everyone else for their loss. Courtney then tells Lindsay how incompetent she is to lose so easily, and then targets Lashana, which Lashana immediately gets into a verbal dispute over with Courtney. At the elimination ceremony, Courtney and Lashana would glare at each other while Noah and Cody smile at each other over the drama. For the votes we see Courtney angrily voting Lashana, Lashana voting Courtney, and Lindsay saying, "I'm sorry, Courtland." The votes are in, and the first person to get a marshmallow would be Cody, followed by Owen, Lindsay, Noah, and the final marshmallow would go to Lashana. In the beginning of the next episode, Heather would put some of her belongings in Eva's bag before the others woke up. The next challenge chosen would be the one that eliminated Cody, Paintball Deer Hunt. This challenge had half the team as deer and the other half as hunters. The hunter's job was to shoot the deer, and the deer's job was to avoid the hunter. On Golden Redeemers, Cody and Noah are deer, which Cody gets flashbacks to him being mauled by a bear and he shudders while the rest are hunters. On the Silver Underdogs, Heather, Trent, and Gwen are deer, while Eva, Izzy, and Harold are hunters. Now the deer run off, but Eva's hunting a different prey. She's hunting one that looks like Heather. Cody sees Heather sitting on a rock and gets even more flashbacks to when he was mauled, and he starts running in fear, not wanting to repeat his mistake again. Eva would find Heather and shoot her several times, and Harold would tell her to stop since she's a part of the team. Trent and Gwen hear commotion and are completely shocked to see Eva emptying her paint into Heather. Trent in confessional says that maybe he was wrong to team with Eva, as even though he probably would have thought of doing the same thing, he wouldn't actually do it. Gwen just says that Heather had it coming. Owen then shoots Trent while they're distracted, and that stops Eva, and Trent yells that he's hit and tells Gwen to leave while she can, to which she starts running. Noah is panting and says that he had to have lost Izzy by now while looking behind him until he looks forward and sees a paintball gun pointed at his face. He sighs before getting blasted in the face and eliminated from the challenge. Cody is curled up in a ball, hiding while shaking, afraid at any moment a bear would come out again. Gwen makes it to the mountain that they all dove off of in episode 1, and before Owen can shoot, jumps into the water. While she's crawling to shore, Lashana points her gun at Gwen, and Gwen forfeits so she isn't shot, and Lashana doesn't shoot but tells her how crazy she is to jump a second time. Chris then says that the Golden Redeemers win over an intercom, and Cody quickly runs back to camp. Back at camp, Heather begins asking where some of her things are, after Gwen talks about how Heather is going home, to which Gwen just responds by asking how she could possibly know that. Heather then accuses someone of stealing it and says, Eva probably did it to get back at me. Eva doesn't take kindly to the accusation, but Gwen asks if they can search it so that they can put this to rest, and Eva says fine reluctantly, but says that an accusation like that is ironic considering how you stole from me. That is until Gwen finds the belongings and says that her obsession with hurting Heather has gone too far. Eva is shocked and says that it has to be planted, there's no way she would steal, but nobody believes her. At elimination, there is a confessional of Gwen saying that Eva's hatred for Heather is too much even for her standards and votes her. Trent says that he doesn't want to be next if she wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and votes for her. Eva votes for Heather. The people who get marshmallows are Trent, Harold, Gwen, Izzy, and finally Heather. Eva stands angrily and says that Heather played them all, and this is how she got to the final 3 to begin with. She then is forced onto the boat of losers and taken away. Episode 3 begins with Cody, Noah, and Owen trying to form an alliance, with Owen saying that he tried this last time and it ended up disbanding because Jeff wouldn't vote for Bridget. Noah says that won't be an issue since they'd rather get Izzy in once the team's combined, and that there's nobody that they want to spare, and says that Cody will even get rid of Gwen if he has to, and Cody is shocked by that, not agreeing to it, but Noah hits him in the ribs and he nods his head, convincing Owen to join. The challenge for this one is Phobia Factor once again, but this time it's only for people that failed their challenges originally. Noah's fear, I think, is spending a whole day with a person dumber than a box of rocks, so Chris handcuffs Lindsay to Noah and they have to spend sunrise to sunset together. Meanwhile, Lashana has to deal with her fear again, and if someone as proud as Lashana couldn't do it the first time, she isn't doing it here. Harold is more prepared than initially for the ninjas, and this time is actually able to defeat all of them, which should signify the win, but Noah still has to survive with Lindsay, and if he is able to, the team will win invincibility. The silver underdogs are watching in anticipation until Harold asks Lindsay what the capital of a country is, and Lindsay blurts out something so wrong that it breaks Noah, and he wimps out, saying that it goes against logic for someone to be so dumb, and that she probably can't figure out which shoe goes on which foot without a neon sign telling her which foot is which. Lindsay starts crying, and Noah's afraid for his safety and tries to apologize, but the damage has been done. At elimination, there isn't any confessional, and the votes are unanimous against Noah, and he is eliminated. Lashana then says that despite Lindsay being dumb, at least she's a nice person. Noah then apologizes to Owen for ruining the easiest one of his life, and Owen forgives him, hugging him tightly, squeezing the life out of him before being taken away by Chef. The next challenge is a redo of Extreme Torture. This challenge is 3 parts. The first part is a member of your team skydiving onto a mattress, the second is riding a moose like a bull, and the final part is one person on one team driving a jet ski while a person on the other team skis from behind and grabs flags for their team. In Challenge 1, Cody would be picked for the Golden Redeemers, while Harold would do this one for his team since Trent wouldn't do it as he doesn't want to get his bones broken again. But this time, since Owen is more aware, he won't fall asleep and nobody would break their bones, giving the team a point, and Cody is able to land as well, giving their team a point. In the second challenge, Izzy and Lashana are chosen, and Lashana goes first and is able to ride it like in canon, giving their team a point. In the final challenge, Trent is the one on the skis with Owen driving, while Heather is the one driving with Lindsay. The jet ski can't go with Owen's weight on it, and Trent says how this is unfair, letting go of the skis and getting off of them before the jet ski then starts going, and Trent loses the challenge for his team, while Lindsay is able to win for hers. Heather goes to Izzy after the challenge and tells her that if she helps her, she will keep her around even after Izzy shot her with a tranquilizer dart, and Izzy agrees that she's just kinda chill like that. At elimination, Harold would say something in confession like, "A true warrior never lets go of his weapon until the battle is done. You made a foolish mistake, Trent." And Gwen would vote Heather, while Trent nervously picks Heather as well, while praying that he doesn't lose to Heather a second time. The votes are in, and the marshmallows go to Gwen, Harold, Izzy, and finally, Heather. Trent is shocked but gives Gwen one final kiss goodbye and leaves. Episode 5 starts with Harold walking before being grabbed by Lashana, and she asks what he's doing keeping Heather around, and Harold says that she's actually human once you get under all the bad stuff, and Lashana just responds by saying that she's only bad stuff, and Trent tried trusting her and got stabbed in the back in episode 16 of last season. Harold takes this as Lashana being jealous and says that Heather doesn't hold a candle to her beauty, which Lashana angrily storms away, knowing nothing will get to him right now. The challenge this time is Up the Creek, which is a challenge where the teams must canoe to Boney Island and make a rescue fire before canoeing back to shore, and the team who makes it back first gets invincibility. The canoe teams are Gwen and Harold, and Heather and Izzy. On the Silver Underdogs, while Owen and Lindsay and Cody and Lashana are the groups for the Golden Redeemers. Izzy would comment on how familiar this feels, and then says that she knows how this ends, to which Heather tells her to shut up and says that they need to get Gwen off, and Izzy questions why, and Heather just responds with, "Duh, she's the finalist of last time. If we let her keep going, she will just float her way to the end like a tick you didn't notice till the end." Izzy nods her head before telling a story about a person she knew who got eaten by ticks. Meanwhile, Harold and Gwen are talking, and Gwen asks why Harold is helping Heather, to which Harold just says that he can't believe she's jealous too, which earns him a paddle to his groin region. Gwen then asks if he's just arrogant or stupid to think that Heather cares about him, and Harold says that lots of girls like him, and it's not his fault he's so good looking. And Gwen just scoffs and says that he will regret it when he's in Merge and there's a challenge that has an elimination he can't get out of, like what happened to Lindsay. On the other team, Lindsay and Owen talk about things only their minds could comprehend, while Cody talks to Lashana on why girls don't like him, and Lashana starts laughing before saying that he just needs to find the right girl. There's probably a girl obsessed with him somewhere, and Cody just rolls his eyes and says that's the same thing his mom tells him. When they get to shore, Izzy would make a similar sized fire as in canon, but Cody would use some of his knowledge to also make a similar fire, just a lot more contained. The Silver Underdogs win the first part of the challenge, and on the way back, Owen tires from exerting himself so much without eating, and the Silver Underdogs make it past him in Lindsay's canoe, allowing them to win. At the confessional, Lashana says that she loves Owen, but he's not helping as much as he needs to be right now. At the elimination, the marshmallows go to Cody, Lashana, and finally, Lindsay. Owen is saddened, but he gets a hug from everyone on his team and leaves with his head held high. Episode 6 begins with Heather confronting Gwen and saying that it would be a shame if she went home so soon, to which she agrees with, but asks Heather what she wants, and that's when Heather says that she doesn't trust Izzy and wants her gone more than she wants Gwen gone. Gwen says to forget it because she will never work with Heather, but Heather says that if they don't win, that decision may not be up to her. The challenge this time is Episode 12's challenge, Basic Straining. Every contestant must go through Chef Hatchett's boot camp, and whoever quits last wins immunity for the team. Lindsay would quit first for the role for the Golden Redeemers, and I don't think there's any way for Cody and Lashana to beat Heather, Harold, Gwen, and Izzy, considering that Lashana didn't make it to the final round, meaning the Golden Redeemers are back at elimination, and Cody and Lindsay are nervous. Chris says that the votes are obvious between Cody and Lindsay, so Lashana's vote is the only one that matters, and speaking of Lashana, he throws a marshmallow to her. After a long pause for dramatic effect, he tosses the marshmallow to Cody, and Cody perks up before Lindsay says that she forgives Lashana for voting her as well as Dodie. Merge is here, but there's a twist. Two people are coming back. From the Golden Redeemers, Noah comes back, and from the Silver Underdogs, Heather is crossing her fingers for Eva not to return with a scared expression before Trent shows up, and she breathes a sigh of relief, but Trent tells her not to get too comfortable, she's not gonna last forever. Of course, Gwen and Trent have their passionate moment, and Noah apologizes to Lashana, but Lashana says that it's cool, string bean, and that he hopefully left his attitude the second time he was voted off. In confessional, Noah says that he hasn't really changed, he is just more aware of what ticks people off, and now he's gonna be a bigger schemer than before. Noah takes Lashana and tells him that they need to get rid of Heather so that she can have Harold back before Cody teams up with Gwen and Trent and outnumber them. Lashana is surprised by this amount of knowledge, but Noah said he's been keeping up with the show in his free time, This actually impresses Lashana, and she says so in confessional, saying that maybe Noah should be brought along farther than she was planning initially. The first challenge is the Tri-Arm Triathlon Challenge, where the first challenge is an eating competition where one member of a two-man team eats while the other feeds them. The second challenge is a foot race, and the third is a totem assembling challenge with the same team as in the first two challenges. The teams are Cody and Gwen, Harold and Noah, Izzy and Lashana, and finally Heather and Trent. Izzy and Lashana win the first challenge, while Harold gets annoyed by Noah's attempts to talk to him, eventually force-feeding him to shut him up. Cody and Gwen are fine, and finally Trent doesn't even try, saying how it's not worth it to get invincibility for Heather, and Trent ends up wimping out so she doesn't get immunity. In the second challenge, Izzy and Lashana would get a point there as well, with Cody and Gwen in second, and Harold and Noah in last. And finally, in the final challenge, Harold and Noah finally are able to win one after they work together, but Izzy and Lashana still have immunity. This is a good opportunity for Lashana and Izzy to bond finally after all the times Izzy has pissed Lashana off an island. Noah tells Cody to vote off Heather, but Heather is planning her safety here, and she goes to Izzy and gets her vote, gets Harold's vote, and then goes to Cody and gets his vote by telling him that Gwen has been trying to get him voted out behind his back for being such a worthless teammate. Which shocks Cody, but he agrees to vote for Gwen as his heart is now actually broken, as he at least thought Gwen viewed him as a friend. At the campfire ceremony, Heather, Harold, Izzy, and Cody vote Gwen, while Noah, Lashana, Gwen, and Trent vote Heather. This causes a tie until Heather whips out the invincibility statue. People wonder how Heather found it, but she explains that she found it after Trent wimped out, allowing her to have all the time in the world to search for it. Trent is dumbfounded, and Gwen even more so, as she is thrown into the boat of losers and sent off. In episode 8, Noah is worried as now they are not in the majority, but he's trying to make sense of who flipped the vote until he realizes that he needs to team with Heather before it's too late to go back, and he goes to Heather before saying that he'd like to join their team, but Heather says that they already have a geek and they don't need another. Noah's about to say something until Heather says that he's the last man before Harold he will vote off if he keeps his mouth shut. The challenge is a battle of the sexes, specifically in the challenge Brunch of Disgustingness. In this challenge it's guys versus girls and eating the most disgusting dishes. I think it's fair to say the girls win this. I mean, Cody won't be eating half of this stuff, and Izzy is just down for anything. Worst case scenario, it comes down to the tiebreaker, and nobody's beating Lashana and drinking blended cockroaches on the male side. So with Heather getting immunity again, Noah makes a plan with Cody and Trent to vote off Harold, and they go to Lashana and say they need to vote Harold off since he's not going to stop helping Heather, and Lashana is hesitant about the idea. Meanwhile, Heather gets her group to vote Trent, so at elimination, Lashana stares at Harold and Trent's portraits before saying I'm sorry and dropping one of them in the ballot box. The marshmallows come out and 3 are given to Izzy, Heather, and Lashana, while he waits for the guys until reading out who's safe. Cody, Noah, and finally, with a 4-3 vote, Harold. Trent is shocked, and so is Harold, but Trent knew he would be going soon anyway since he was an ally to Gwen. He grumbles to himself angrily about how he messed things up for them both, and he just seems to be bad luck for Gwen overall. Episode 9 and Harold is happy he survived, but Lashana tells him that the only reason he is still here is because of her since she voted Trent when the others asked her to vote Harold. Harold is completely shocked and he says that no matter what, he won't vote for Lashana, even in the alliance he has with Heather. Lashana then says it's not the point and storms off angry and notices Heather sitting and watching the sunrise, and she says that it would be easier if she stopped playing with Harold's feelings, but Heather counters it by saying that she never has. He was just there when she was vulnerable, so she wants to carry him to the end or as close to it as she can. Lashana is shocked by what she assumes is the first genuine thing Heather has said this entire competition. Heather then says that the original plan was to take Lashana to the final 3 out of respect for Harold's wishes, and Lashana asks who this new Heather is when Heather says that she was humbled when her head was shaved. She was above nobody and Harold was there to help her at her darkest moment, so she'll make sure this team makes it to the end. Lashana apologizes for how she's acted but asks why Heather hasn't brought her onto the team yet, to which Heather responds by saying that there was no way she would have joined if she did that, and that's why she sent Harold every time. Lashana feels like crap, but then wonders about Gwen's elimination, to which Heather says that she wasn't gonna not manipulate people, she just wasn't gonna manipulate Harold. The challenge this time is the challenge where we see what all the eliminated contestants are up to, and they vote out who they think deserves to leave. And this is where things will get interesting, as Courtney rigs the ballot box like Harold did in Canon, so Lashana will leave, as she is still pissed over what he did to her in Canon, saying the exact same line that Harold did in Canon while rigging it for Lashana to leave. Episode 10 would begin with Noah talking to Cody about joining in a group, as he feels like the others are going to team against him, and he agrees before Noah goes to Izzy and says that he will join her in an alliance and she can even be a leader of it, to which Izzy makes an Izzy response that they can't figure out if it means a yes or a no. The challenge this time is That's Off the Chain, which is a challenge where each player must build a bike and then swap it with a random player before racing it through an obstacle course, and the last person who passes the finish line is eliminated. Izzy immediately builds her bike and leaves, as she knows there's no penalty for it, while Cody and Noah succeed in building theirs and Heather and Harold succeed in building theirs. Heather's pride won't allow her to skip the challenge, but Noah doesn't tell Cody about the special button he added to his bike that Heather got that he will activate at the end. What ensues is a race where Cody and Harold wipe out, and Noah, as Heather is about to win, activates the button, and her tires suddenly pop and she tumbles to the ground, but not before Noah passes her and wins, with Heather crossing the finish line and being second, getting eliminated in an ironic fashion considering this is the same challenge Lindsay was eliminated in canon. Heather would tell Harold she wants him to win more than anyone else here and to not trust Noah. Episode 11, and Noah would want Harold gone, as Harold is the second smartest person and he can't accurately gauge Izzy. The challenge here is if you can't take the heat, or the contestants must bake a 3-course meal for chef and the person with the most points gets immunity. Cody and Noah wouldn't do that great, as even though they know a lot when it comes to actual cooking, they aren't that good. Izzy does atrocious, and Harold is the only one who makes something really good, but it's a weird combination most likely, giving Harold the win despite all odds. Noah decides that he needs to ditch Cody as he's just dead weight, and so he goes to Izzy and says that he wants Cody gone since he said that he was going to vote her, and she believes it. Now, he just needs the votes to go in a particular order, and he's fine. At elimination, we see Harold voting for Noah and Noah voting for Cody. The marshmallows come out, and one is thrown to Harold, one is thrown to Izzy, and after a dramatic pause, one is finally thrown to Noah. And Cody is shocked by this and says that he thought they were voting Izzy, and Noah says that plans changed. He won't carry Cody any farther. Cody walks to the dock of shame and gets on the boat of losers, but feels like he was just a tool in someone else's game this whole time. Episode 12, and for such a big episode, it's going to end with a simple challenge, the Big Sleep. A challenge where each contestant must stay up as long as they can, but this time the first to fall asleep loses. This would be a lot tighter than in canon, with everyone not wanting to fall asleep until eventually Izzy would fall asleep, as canonically she fell asleep around the same time as Noah as canon, but this time Noah had come prepared, as he packed caffeine patches for himself after he was eliminated the first time, as he wanted to be prepared if this challenge came up again. Izzy would say how this is just the beginning of her walk to stardom as she is leaving, and Noah would say something sarcastic about how she won't even make it to being a C-list actress. The finale would be here, and the finale would be the very first challenge where they must dive off of the mountain, get some crates, and build a hot tub, but they get to pick 2 people to be on their team to help them out. Noah picks Gwen and Trent, while Harold picks LaShauna and Heather. Both teams would jump off the cliff, so all it turns into is who can push their crates and assemble the hot tub the best, and as always there are alternate winners here, so whichever one of them you want to win is the winner. But I will have Harold win, as his team works great together now that they all have great chemistry with each other. And Harold says he will share the $1 million with his 2 allies. In Noah's ending, he is able to win, and Gwen and Trent are happy, saying how they are getting some money for helping, but Noah says he didn't agree to that until he is pressured into doing it by Trent, and he agrees to give them $250,000 for helping him out. This was a lot of fun to make. This is my first real video of this style, so I would appreciate to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I definitely have a new respect for the writers of Total Drama because it's not easy to do this kind of thing. But if you are wondering where the other half of the cast is, don't worry, as they will be in the next episode where we bring in the characters you all didn't vote for. Make the day yours, and I'll see you all later.